Hello everyone, and welcome back to Chaos Head NoAH. Yep, I did a bit of an oopsie last time, and I did not notice that this section right here was actually a choice. I saw that border pop up last episode, and I was weirded out by it, but I didn't notice that on the left and right were two different buttons. So, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that, see what results it yields me, and then I'll go back to where I was before. Also, somebody did clarify to me, um, I that girl that showed up at the end, I kept saying FES, but it was actually FES, short for festival, apparently. But, yeah. So, let's go ahead and do this. I guess I gotta
そしたら犯人とばっかり
use
会
my
っちゃった
mouse
り
to
して
do
な。
this.
犯人は犯行現場に戻ってくるってよく言うだろ。
Yeah. This is what the guide I was given was referring to with choices. So, I was told to pick positive, which I assume is green. Okay.
で、次はタクがターゲットにされるんだ。死をもって罪を償いみたいな。罪状はそうだな。引きこもってたからってことで。
He already said this. Let's see, did I read this before? I think this is new. I felt like it should have been obvious to him how much I didn't want to go and see a puddle of blood and gore. It would have been way too much for me. It wouldn't be like a haunted house or a horror movie or something. People had actually died IRL, and the killer was still on the loose. So wherever the murderer was likely to be, I'd have liked to be anywhere but there. Still, I was curious about the murderer. What could have possibly been their motive? Were they just a psychopath that committed crimes for the hell of it? That was probably the most reasonable explanation. Well, whatever. It didn't really matter to me. I mean, I was a serial killer too, and even though I'd killed hundreds, people still treated me like a hero. That was in ESO though, lol. Just goes to show how much better the 2D world is. Anyway, as I tried my hardest to turn down Misumi-kun's proposal, I imagined myself like a brawler straight out of some fighting game. A psycho killer. Heh, if I ran into a guy like that, I'd turn him into mincemeat. In my delusions, I could kill or spare anyone I wanted. But the people who actually tried to live out those sort of delusions were idiots. Didn't they know that real-life actions had real-life consequences? Don't you know that your actions have consequences? Even the new-gen killer would be caught eventually, and then they'd rot in prison for years, decades even, just waiting to be sent to the gallows. If I could say one thing to them, it'd be, what a pity. You really should have just kept your delusions to yourself. Oh. Oh. This is where we went before, but it's wobbly. I went out to buy myself some dinner. I took the road I always used to get to my local convenience store. It was only a 3-minute walk from my base. I'd walked down this dirty alley more times than I could count. But for some reason, walking through it today, I couldn't help but feel as if I'd stepped into another world. The alley was the same as ever, but it felt like the first time I'd ever set foot in it. Familiar, yet new, like the opposite of deja vu. I'd researched the phenomenon online before. The name for it was apparently jamais vu. What's more, the stench of rotting gut. I think I... Are we just going through the scene again? The moisture in the atmosphere was... I heard a sound, the faint sound of something dragging across the ground. I stopped in my tracks and listened closely. It sounded like it was coming from up ahead, from somewhere down the alley and around the corner. Without any streetlights or lit-up windows, it was pitch black down there. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't see a thing. It was strange. This was modern-day Shibuya, a place that, along with Shinjuku, was known as the city that never sleeps. So how could there still be places that were this dark? It almost felt like the entrance to a haunted house. Actually, there was one very large distinction. This darkness wasn't man-made. It was real. I didn't want to go any farther. Nothing good would come from it. My brain set off every alarm bell it could, trying to prevent my body from taking another step. But for some inexplicable reason, my body stepped forward anyway, as if drawn to that repeating sound. My fear urged me to stop, but something horrible would happen if I kept going. My heart started racing. My forehead was slick with sweat. Suddenly, a noise that was beautiful, yet somehow discordant at the same time, reached my ears. A voice, garbled by static. Before I knew it, someone had grabbed my forearm. It was all too sudden. I panicked and tried to scream for help, but all that came out was a puff of air. Terrified, I tried to force my body to run away, but it wouldn't listen. I couldn't move an inch. I looked towards my arm, and the hand of the thing that had grabbed me came into view. Oh, it was dark green, with skin taut like a mummy's. Countless veins protruded from the surface. It didn't look alive. To be honest, it made sense that I couldn't move. Going all deer in the headlights was a natural reaction to what was happening. What was surprising to me, though, was that the voice in my ear was so soothing. The fear swelling inside me was starting to vanish. A serious, yet gentle voice. I slowly looked over my shoulder. The first thing I noticed was the Suimei Academy emblem. The same emblem you could find sewn onto the chest of each and every Suimei uniform. So, this does indeed seem to be the girl we ran into in the alley yesterday. Then I noticed that the person was wearing a skirt, which meant she was a girl. I mean, can't always assume, but I didn't have the courage to look at the most important part, her face. She was standing way closer than I was expecting, so I couldn't bring myself to face her. I couldn't put my finger on why, but for some reason, something seemed off. So I turned my attention back toward her hand. The hand gripping my arm was delicate and feminine, even though just a moment ago I had seen it as green and grotesque. This girl, who was she? What kind of expression was on her face? What kind of expression was she making at me? What was she doing here? In spite of all my questions, I couldn't manage to get a single word out. I simply hung my head in silence. So, when we saw her last episode, her hands were covered in blood, so has she not gotten started with that little wall crucifixion she was taking care of? At some point, the dragging sound had stopped. And in its place, there was a smell coming from her body. Oh! The stench of blood.
これはいい。
Oh. Oh, we're at the internet cafe now. I was sitting behind a computer monitor. I chugged down a cola to contain my excitement, then leaned back in my chair. That had been one hell of a delusion. I see now. So, yeah, these are the delusions he's talking about. This and that weird scene with Sarah. But, yeah. I guess we just experienced an alternate version of how things played out. I will say I don't regret seeing the other way that things played out, because here the scene just kind of abruptly ends. But, yeah, that time we got a little more world building, I guess. Maybe I'll compromise here. I especially liked that mystery girl. I might give her a name and flesh out her personality in future delusions. I think you're gonna come across her sooner than you think, Takumi. I let my imagination run wild like this all the time. Usually I'd go on to cast an existing character as the girl, such as Saratan. So I might as well do that here too. Actually, Sarah didn't quite fit the vibe of that mystery girl. Well, at any rate, it was a lot of fun mixing together 2D and 3D in my delusions. I was the god of the world inside my head. In there, everything bent to my will.
次はちょっとエロ要素も。
I don't know, man. That one seemed a little out of your control. I'm not quite sure what would have provoked you to have seen her arm as green. Got a once-ler arm going on. I said that to myself as if I were at my base, but when I remembered I was in an internet cafe, I quickly covered my mouth. I quietly peeked outside. It didn't seem like anyone had heard me just now, so meh. For an indoor person like me, that cafe was the only hangout spot I enjoyed. Being at the center of Shibuya and all, there were plenty of 3D Dokyun women and office drones occupying it. But since the rooms were all private, that wasn't an issue. As for the room I was... Yeah, I think this is... just... I'll go ahead and skip ahead now. Okay, guys. Now we're back where we were before. So, I skipped through some of that to see if anything was different now that we had that delusion as Takumi, but he didn't seem to notice the similarities besides his initial claim of jamais vu. And, yeah. It seems like his delusions... Well, I shouldn't get too ahead of myself right now. We should see more of this play out and see how things go from there. So, I won't keep us going too long, but, yeah. Let's go ahead and, carry on then. About a day had passed, and I'd spent pretty much every hour of it in Basilard. I hardly even made time to eat. I'd immersed myself fully into the role of Neidhart, and in the process completely erased every trace of Nishijo Takumi. An ESO, I was an absolute god. No demon could ever strike fear into my heart, and I was respected by everyone. If only I could live in such a comfortable world for all eternity, I was certain I'd be far happier that way.
おおエンジェルハイロ来たこれ超レアすげえ
Oh.
これは早速使わないと装備
FTW. That's slang, short for the win. Used to express excitement about the subject.
おおキャラの見た目変わったすげえこれすげえ見て見ろってグリムあ
A knocking.
ナイトハルト
Chill out, Neidhart. Somebody's knocking at your storage container door, Takumi.
ちょっと街に戻って見せびらかしてこようかなお兄
Oh, here she is. The Emoto. Finally, another legendary item to add to my collection. Naturally, I was stoked. My depression from earlier had been completely blown away. The angelic circlet had a drop rate of 0.0001%. It was so rare, some players thought it was unobtainable. Well, its stats were shit, so it was pretty much just a cosmetic item, but that was good enough. People could tell you had an angelic circlet just by looking at you, which was enough to make anyone green with envy.
やったナイトハルトがまた一歩神に近づいた
Shut up! Who the hell's been banging on my door for so goddamn long? Just when I finally managed to get a hold of a rare item, this happened. Couldn't a man just enjoy his victories for 1 second? That voice. The moment I realized who it was, my mood instantly took a nosedive. There was no mistaking it. I was the voice of an assassin sent by my parents. My little sister, Nanami. What a pain in the ass. If you don't open the... Oh, whoops. Well, shit. Here came the storm to rain on my parade. I really didn't want to let her in, but if I didn't, my parents would probably get on my case about it. Stop living alone and move back in with us, they'd say. I'd ignore them if I could, but my dad basically owned this building, so it'd take just a snap of his fingers for him to kick me out. Ugh, this is the worst. Shut the fuck up. That's slang, short for shut the fuck up. Used when someone is being extremely annoying. Or I guess, STFU! I swear, her voice was so shrill it could shatter glass. The banging just didn't stop, and since the metal walls were pretty thin, the sound echoed loudly all throughout the container. Nanami was well aware of that. In fact, that was exactly why she was doing it. In the end, I had no choice. I reluctantly removed the padlock and opened the door.
っと出てきた。生存確認。
Was not expecting the blonde girl I kept seeing everywhere to be his sister. Huh. This baby-faced runt was my little sister. She was a year younger than me.
呼んでるんだから返事くらいしてよね。お兄死んじゃったかもって思ったじゃん。
Of course, the first thing out of her mouth was bitching, and to make things worse, she was standing there with her hands on her hips. You sure about that? Like the bratty little shit she was. The spitting image of irritating. Also, I think you mean akimbo. That's a very necessary word for you to know. Her existence brought me nothing but suffering.
うわ、相変わらず部屋の中汚な。ちょっとは片付けなよ。
Tidy up your hair. Nanami just waltzed right in. Nanami just waltzed right on in without even asking. What the hell did she think she was doing? What, did she think she could get away with whatever she wanted just because she was my little sister? And to think there were people out there who seriously believed that little sisters were moe. Is it moe or moe? I think it's moe. I just wanted to tell those guys how much of an epic fail that was. Well, we at least don't seem to be going the incest route, thankfully. Well, even though she was my sister, she God damn it. She certainly didn't look unsavory. She had a lollipop type, so I could see why that might make her pretty damn popular in some circles. But as her older brother, I didn't care about that. I wasn't into her at all. As far as I was concerned, she was downright repulsive, not to mention immature. Not to say I didn't like lollies, of course. Just only 2D ones.
カビくさ。お兄の部屋って相変わらず不潔。掃除しろっていつも言ってるじゃん。どうしてしないの？まあ、どうせ掃除してくれる彼女なんかいないだろうし。お兄ってズボラだからこうなるのは目に見えてるけどさ。こうなったらやっぱりナナが掃除しに来てあげるしかないかな。
But not as a girlfriend, right? Please, not as a girlfriend.
だが断る。
Dagatok. A quotation from a certain popular manga about bizarre adventures. On the internet, it is used frequently as a cool way to turn someone down.
なんでよ。
お前に部屋荒らされたくない。
きっとそれがわざわざ生存確認しに来てあげてる妹に言うセリフ。
Maybe things would change if you showed your older brother a little respect. And why should I be grateful that you're checking on me? I sure as hell didn't ask for that.
まったくなんでこんな面倒ばっかりかけさせる兄弟と血つながってるんだろう。たまに嫌になっちゃうよ。はあ、なんか喉乾いちゃった。飲み物もらうね。
Nanami walked right past me and opened and over to the mini fridge, once again acting like she owned the place. I mean, in a way she does, I suppose. Well, here's the next option.
ミルクティーとか用意しといてよ。
So, my guide says to just progress the dialogue like normal and to not bother picking either of the options. Let me go ahead and make a save here just to be safe.
知らんがな。
しょうがないな。じゃあコーラもらうね。
Surprise, fucking surprise. She went ahead and did as she pleased. There's this thing called permission, you know? She grabbed a bottle of cola from the fridge, one I had already drank from, no less, and only after a second of hesitation, she cracked it open and gulped it down. Yep, there we go. She just drunk straight from the bottle. Nasty. She was supposed to be a girl, yet she acted like this. What a disgrace. This was exactly why 3D sucked ass. As soon as the Nanami left, I was gonna chuck that bottle straight in the trash. Wait, what? She just...
美味しかった。やっぱ運動の後の一杯って格別。学校からここまで走ってきたんだ。
全部飲んだのか。しかも一気で。
I bought that cola with my own money. So just because you're my sister, you think you could do whatever the hell you want, huh? I see how it is.
しまった。
Nanami looked at the bottle in her hand and turned pale. Oh, good. It looked like she'd finally realized how rude she was being to.
どうしよう。また太っちゃうじゃん。
What?
お兄のせいだからね。
I had no idea what she was talking about.
お兄がコーラ好きなせいで、7までコーラ大好きっ子になっちゃったんだから。
人のせいにすんなよ。
だってうちの冷蔵庫に入ってるのいっつもコーラだったじゃん。お母さんがお兄のこと甘やかすからだ。知ってる？コーラってカロリーすっごく高いの。だからお兄もあんまり飲みすぎない方がいいよ。今度からミルクティーにすべき。
But milk tea really isn't any healthier than cola. It's got just about as many calories. And more important, who the hell asked? I'm happy with my diet, thanks. Is that all you came here for? To drink all my cola, then lecture me to stop drinking cola?
もう帰れよ。
You did your whole survival check thing, and now your job here is done, right? Why do you feel the need to barge in here every time?
お兄、冷たい。
Seemed like I'd managed to offend her somehow. She pursed her lips into a pout and glared at me. I was already done with her shit, though, so I looked away.
せっかく心配して様子を見に来てあげてるのに。お兄ってずっとここに引きこもって誰とも喋らずに一日を終えちゃうことだってあるんでしょ？女の子と話す機会だってどうせ全くないんだよね。
Shut up! Stop making fun of you, stupid bitch. I'm not into 3D girls, so why would I ever bother talking to them?
言ってみればお兄と話す女の子はナナだけってことじゃん。
Don't phrase it like that.
だからさ、もっとナナのこと大事にしてよ。そしたら女の子との接し方もちょっとは分かってくるはずだし。
While she was nagging, Nanami picked up one of my figures, Hikaru-tan from The Suicide for Hikari, and started staring at it. Damn it, don't touch my waifus without asking. If you leave even a single fingerprint on her, I will actually beat the shit out of you.
あと、お兄は自分のことにもっと気を使って。こんなお人形さんにうつつを抜かしてる場合じゃないよ。ナナはお兄の死体の第一発見者になんかなりたくないからね。
What the hell was she trying to imply? It felt like she'd been becoming more and more like Mom lately, which meant that she'd gotten even more fucking annoying. Yeah, you.
いいから帰れよ。
そんなに帰れ帰れ言わないでよ。お兄のバカ。
These are some dynamic poses, huh?
まだこっちには用事が残ってるの。
She was getting more hysterical by the minute. If I made her any angrier, things would get out of hand. So chill out, me.
携帯買いに行こう。
What had she just said?
お父さんがそうしろって。お兄が携帯持てばいつでも生存確認できるじゃん。お金はナナが預かってきたから今から買いに行こうよ。今時携帯持ってない人なんていないよ。時代に取り残されちゃうよ。
Hopefully this cell phone isn't the key to getting the true ending like a certain other video game. Shut up already, you teenage trend-chasing bitch. I'm not the only one who lives under a rock here, you wrong cider. The internet gives me I'm not the one who lives under a rock here, you wrong cider. The internet gives me all the information I need. Well, she was right about one thing. These days, it was normal for a high school student to have a phone, and I didn't have one. Of course, that was because I'd never use it anyway. I didn't have anyone to call or text, and I just didn't want to pay for something that I wasn't going to use.
だから行こう。
Nanami put the figure back on the shelf and turned her attention back to me.
どうせお兄は機種とかわかんないだろうからナナと同じ機種にしちゃいなよ。
As she said that, she took her own phone out of her bag and started showing it off like it was some precious heirloom.
ほら、
It's him!
色が可愛いでしょ。
It's Gero! Gero! Gero!
ついでだからストラップも同じのあげるよ。
なんという電気キャラ。
The character hanging from the phone strap was far from cute. It looked horrible. There was no way a professional had designed it. It looked like one of those shit-tier ugly cute characters, or like one of those official government mascots.
手抜きじゃないもん。ゲロカエルンはこういうデザインなの。今すっごく流行ってるんだからね。
Gero Froggy.
はあ、女子高生の流行なんてお兄が知ってるわけないか。そういうとこを直せば少しは女子と会話成立すると思うよ、きっと。
God damn it, shut the fuck up already, you trend-chasing bitch. The fuck is this Gero Froggy shit? There's no way this thing is popular. Anyone with half a brain could tell you that. She didn't realize she was just being played by the media. It was honestly sad.
っていうか、今はゲロカエルンの話じゃなくて、いいから携帯買いに行こうよ。あ、別にお揃いがいいとか言ってるわけじゃないからね。家族で同じ機種だと基本料金が割引されるサービスがあるからだよ。家族で持ってないのはお兄だけなんだからね。
いらない。
なんで？お金はお父さんが出してくれるんだよ。
必要ない。
It would be a nuisance, if anything. If I had a phone, Mom would definitely call every day. If I kept ignoring those calls, they'd keep sending little Miss Assassin Nanami over here to lay on the pressure. My family life would become even more of a living hell, and I'd have to start being way more careful as a result. I couldn't let that happen.
もう信じらんないよ、このバカ鬼。もう帰る。
ああ、そうしてくれ。
I opened the door for her to finally leave, but Nanami didn't budge an inch. She just shot her arms down to her sides, looking even more upset than before.
ほんとバカ。アホバカ鬼。駅まで送ってくれるとかしてよ。
嫌だね。
She never acted like this before. Why did she suddenly want me to walk her to the station? What was so special about today?
だって最近殺人事件とかで物騒じゃんか。こういう場合心配するのが兄弟ってもんでしょ。
Yesterday's events were resurrected in my mind once again, if only for a moment. I frantically shook my head, trying to get that gruesome scene out of my mind. I just barely managed to.
どうでもいいし。
Either way, it wasn't like the new gen murderer was twisted enough to attack some brat like Nanami.
ありえない。ナナが死んでもいいって言うんだ。
Nanami was tearing up. It seemed like my words had really gotten to her. Serves you right. Maybe you should think twice about disturbing my peace and quiet next time. This is just my own way of taking a little revenge for once. Get fucked.
バカ、死んじゃえ。お兄なんか猟奇的に殺されちゃえ。
I hope your storage container falls off the roof. After spitting those parting words at me, Nanami pushed past me and ran as fast as she could. Seemed like the storm had finally passed. The room grew peaceful and quiet once again. This was how things should always be around here. My own perfect little world where stupid bullshit wasn't allowed. I sat down in front of my PC, shaking my mouse a little to clear the Seraton screensaver. I tried to take a sip of the cola bottle on my desk, but it was empty.
あ、しまった。これ、ナナミがさっき飲んだやつだ。
Oh god, I just had an indirect kiss with my little sister. I'm gonna puke. I knew they were gonna bring it up. Maybe if she was a little more charming, it would have been the kind of eroge-like situation I could fap to. But with that horrible personality, no chance. If anything, it only made me feel more flaccid. I put the cap back on the bottle and threw it at the big garbage can in the corner of my room. But it didn't go in the bag, instead bouncing off the wall and rolling under my bed. Well, whatever. How bouncy are Japanese soda bottles? Anyway, time to dive straight back into ESO. I just want to forget about the annoying real-world crap ASAP. But it wouldn't last long. Just one day later, my immersion would be broken again. My mental state had been on the up and up lately, but the moment I stepped outside, it all came crashing down again. Damn it, why did I have to go to school today? It was so early.
なんで今日なんだよ。最低最悪だ。
But it wasn't like I could just take the day off. If I did, my minimum attendance chart would get all thrown off, and I wouldn't be able to graduate.
卒業って。何を卒業するって言うんだよ。
I was the one insisting on going through with it, but I still couldn't help but complain. As I approached the wealthy district of Matsunami, I finally realized I had been feeling a gaze for a while now. But this wasn't the usual God's gaze. I didn't feel any shivers on the back of my neck. Who the heck? As I turned the corner, I took a quick, tiny glance behind me. I caught a glimpse of a girl wearing a Suimei uniform. No way. Was it the demon from yesterday? I instantly lost my composure. An extreme amount of tension overtook my body, and my walking became stilted. A moment ago, it was a quiet morning like any other, but now, it felt like the entire world was out to get me. I could faintly hear the sound of birds chirping atop the phone lines, and I could also hear music from the morning news playing in nearby homes. In a peaceful scene like this, where crime would seem totally out of place, I came close to imagining myself getting brutally murdered. Okay. I need to calm down. It wasn't like I'd clearly seen her face or anything. There was nothing strange about seeing Suimei students walking behind me. We were headed for the same destination, after all. I would be fine. Oops, sorry. Even though school was straight ahead, I decided to take a hard right. I was worried about what could be behind me, but I desperately suppressed the urge to turn around. I needed to keep my cool and act natural. My heart was pounding, but I kept walking. I continued for about a minute or so, until I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I slowly turned around. We made eye contact for a second, but I panicked and turned back around. Why was she following me? This path was obviously the long way to school. That meant she had to be tailing me. Either way, I'd never seen her before. She definitely wasn't the demon from yesterday, that was for sure. She was wearing glasses, and the demon girl hadn't been. That fact alone was enough to calm me down. I decided to just head straight for school. I'd have to skip my routine breakfast at the park because of it, but oh well.
くそ、女子 A め。
To me, you're just some background character. I mean, she literally is, but pedestrian 1 or girl A. Just stay out of my way, god damn it. After I entered the school, girl A disappeared. I'd expected her to continue tailing me, but instead, she turned and headed toward the third-year classrooms. Maybe she was never tailing me in the first place. Maybe I was just overthinking it. But still, it was definitely weird that she'd taken the same detour that I had. Did she hate me for some reason? Had I done something to piss her off? I didn't think so. No, I couldn't have. I hardly ever went to school, and when I did, I tried to keep my presence very minimal. Maybe she's student council or something. So then what the hell was she trying to accomplish? Somehow, I'd managed to make it through the torture known as school. On my way back, I made my usual stop at NoAH Cafe. I took my seat in room 37. The nearby rooms were normally always empty, but surprisingly, that wasn't true today. There was someone in room 36. The door was closed, but the light from the desk lamp leaked through the cracks. I couldn't help but click my tongue when I entered my room. Having someone sitting nearby posed a bit of a problem. Whenever I did things like chatting online, I had the tendency to talk to myself sometimes. Well, whatever. Time to just ignore it and log into ESO already. As long as I make a conscious effort to stay quiet, it shouldn't really be an issue.
だよこいつら。
Irritated, I slammed my hands down on the keyboard. It had only been 2 hours since I started playing, and I was already this close to throwing myself off a cliff. The people I'd partied up with today were total noobs. I'd been trying my best to help them, but one of them went all Leroy Jenkins and just died repeatedly. Wait, no, I think it's more like Leroy Jenkins. Then the other one was a mage, but he didn't cast any healing spells at all. As a result, we just kept getting full party wiped over and over again. And yet, instead of figuring out why it was happening, all they ever did was continue to piss and moan in the chat. Fuck these shitty players. I finally just lost it. I proceeded to PK both of them, steal all their items, and instantly escape to another area. Everything Neidhart couldn't, at least a lot would do without a second thought. This was exactly what I came all the way to NoAH Cafe for. Finally feeling a bit better, I breathed a sigh of relief and went to grab a drink. NoAH Cafe had a bunch of all-you-can-drink soda fountains in the reception area. And related to that was the only bad thing about room 37. It was kind of far away from the reception area. When I left my room, the door to room 36 was open. Naturally, in order to make my way to the front, I had to go past it. I casually took a peek inside as I walked past, but there was nobody in there. Come to think of it, I had heard someone get up a moment ago. It's gonna be Glasses Girl. And although there was no one there, I saw a bag on the ground next to the reclining chair. Looked like a school bag, and there were a few toy straps hanging from it, including Ghetto Froggy. They were Ghetto Froggies, like the one Nanami had shown me yesterday. There were 3 of them in total. I guess they were really popular. Well, whatever. It wasn't like I cared either way. Besides, if the person came back and caught me staring, they might have taken me for a pervert or a thief. Realizing that, I decided to just go get my drink. However, right as I went to leave, my eye caught a glimpse of the text on their monitor, and I froze. All things new gen. If that wasn't enough, it was written in the most sickening font, as if it was trying to freak me out. New gen. I'd been deliberately avoiding any and all info about those cases. I really didn't want to know anything more about them. As long as I kept avoiding them, I could keep telling myself that they had nothing to do with me. Oh, forget about that. More importantly, the customer next door to me was looking at a site and lining out everything about New Gen. Was it just a coincidence, or did it mean something? For a moment, the face of the demon girl flashed through my mind, sending goosebumps across my entire body. I shook my head violently, trying to force those horrible thoughts away. I was just overthinking it. Yeah, I had to be. Nobody was out to get me. I was just being paranoid. New Gen was pretty much all the media talked about lately. By this point, anyone would be interested in it. That was all this was. Yep, no doubt about it. Anyway, I should just go get my drink already and get back to business. I quickly placed my cup under the dispenser and pressed the cola button. Delicious, ice-cold cola started pouring out. That looks more like a coffee machine. It was getting dark outside, which meant this place was going to get really crowded soon. There were already a few customers standing by the front desk, waiting to be shown to their rooms. And the darker it got, the more people would show up. In about an hour or so, all the rooms surrounding room 37 would fill up. Once that happened, it'd be time for me to head home. I took my cup and headed back toward my seat. On the way, I casually glanced down the hall towards the bathrooms. That's when... It's her again. I saw a girl's figure disappear into the corridor. She had been wearing a Swanima uniform and had glasses on her face. I recognized her. It was the same girl that had been tailing me this morning. Girl A. I thought I might have been mistaken, so I hid behind some bookshelves and looked toward that corridor out for a while, but she never showed up again. It must have just been my imagination. Yeah, it had to have been. I'd only seen her for half a second, after all. This place was typically swarming with Sui-Mei girls, and plenty of them wore glasses. But what if it had been Girl A? If she was here, what would that mean? Was it just a coincidence, or had she followed me? I was starting to get a little scared. I left the cafe and started rushing back to my base. In the end, my anxiety had been too much to handle, and I'd left almost immediately after I saw the girl. I wanted to get home as soon as possible, but the crowded sidewalks were slowing me down. I was feeling sicker and sicker by the minute. I hated crowds. I always felt like people were watching me and snickering. A red pedestrian signal stopped me in my tracks. As I waited for the light to change again, I couldn't help but take a quick look around. I didn't see Girl A anywhere. As soon as I reached the top of Dolgenzaka, walking got a lot easier. Usually I would take the least crowded way back, but After what had happened 2 nights ago, I figured I should stick to the main streets, just to be safe. I was stuck at a red light again, so I took another look behind me. I'd hope you weren't struck by a red light. Struck at a red light. But Girl A was still nowhere to be found. The girl I'd seen at Cafe might have been a different person after all. Feeling a bit relieved, I let my tense shoulders relax a little, then turned back around. Anime girl jump scare. Well, here comes the next choice. So, I believe this is supposed to be negative, yeah. Yeah, okay. There we go. Shocked, I took a step back. On the other side of the crosswalk, standing among the crowd, waiting for the light to change, was the girl. And to make matters worse, the gaze beyond those glasses was clearly pointed straight at me. She didn't even try to look away. Her eyes were so intense. It's as if they were urging me to do something. Right then, her glasses flashed white. Maybe they were reflecting the headlights of passing cars. Then I heard a sound. Her lips twisted into a curve, forming a smile that seemed closer to a sneer. Even though we were so far apart, even though there were so many people around, the girl's soft laugh reached my ears clear as day. If I hadn't heard her so clearly, I would have thought she was simply exhaling. She laughed again, and then she suddenly rolled up the hem of her skirt. Countless shining objects fell to the ground and scattered every which way. They looked like crosses, images of the stakes from the crucifixion. I'm just gonna say crucifixion for now. Incident flashed inside my mind. Oh. Her expression looked completely insane. Only her lips were smiling. Her eyes were bloodshot, and her cheeks twitched erratically. She then shoved through the crowd and leapt onto this crosswalk, despite the fact that the pedestrian signal was still red. What was she thinking? I cowered in fear. I thought about running, but I couldn't move an inch. My legs were practically rooted to the cement. I couldn't even speak. The girl was drawing closer. She was crossing the road, gripping a cross-shaped stick in her hand. Stay back! I made that plea in my head when Truck-kun saves the day! Girl A's body was sent flying by an oncoming truck. Screams resounded around me. The crowd was blocking my view, so I couldn't see what had happened to the girl. But I could tell. She was dead. There was no doubt about it. She was dead. She was lying in a heap on the street, covered in blood, like some kind of sopping wet, tattered dish rag that was just begging to be thrown away. Thank God, I thought instinctively. Not that I was proud of myself for thinking that way. I suddenly snapped out of it. I was swamped in a sickly cold sweat. The pedestrians had just been screaming in shock, but now they were calmly waiting for the pedestrian signal to change. There was no truck anywhere in sight. And that girl with the glasses was still on the other side of the street, staring at me like she'd been doing the entire time. Had that been just a delusion? The pedestrian signal turned green. All the pedestrians started crossing at once. I couldn't move, and Girl A didn't move either. She didn't laugh, nor did she roll up her skirt. Nothing like that. She just stood there, staring me down. We were the only ones standing still, as if time had frozen for just the two of us. Why was she not crossing the street? Why was she just standing there? It was strange. Really, really strange. I needed to stay away from her. I should just run. I'll just run straight home. Run! Whipping my weak, withering heart into shape, I broke into a sprint. I ran back down Dokansaka, trying to put as much distance between me and Girl A as I could. On the way, I turned to enter a back alley. And right as I did, I crashed into something and toppled over. Pain shot throughout my entire body. I groaned, not fully understanding what had just happened. The pain was so bad I could hardly stand. Looking up, I saw a big motor scooter lying on the ground. That must have been what I'd run into. I gritted my teeth and tried to force myself to my feet, but my legs just weren't able to hold me up. Well, it didn't seem like I'd broken any bones, at least.
大丈夫ですか?
Before I knew it, Girl A was right in front of me. She was peering into my face, eyes full of concern. What the hell was up with this girl? My body wouldn't move. As pathetic as it sounds, I was scared shitless. I had no idea what to do. My plan had been to catch a train ride to Shinsen and get home that way, but now I was starting to regret my life choices.
怪我してませんか?
Girl A asked me timidly. Was she acting all worried so I would drop my guard? You won't fool me. I won't fall for your tricks, you 3D wench.
なんなんだよ。
え?
ついてくるなよ。僕に何の用だ。
That is some messy hair. Kinda reminds me of Smoogie Shirogane from Danganronpa. Panicking, I lashed out at Girl A, who just stood there in surprise. I tried scuttling backward to make some distance, but I was still flat on my ass. If I didn't get away from her, she'd reach into her jacket, pull out a knife, and jump me. That was my thought process, anyway. That gruesome scene flashed through my mind over and over. All I could think was, that's how I'll end up. The girl hung her head, looking a little hurt.
あなたが急に走り出して様子を見に来たら倒れてたので心配で。でも今は用事とかあるわけじゃないんですが、
She didn't want anything from me. What? That didn't make any sense.
じゃあなんで付きまとってくるんだ。
それは
She was getting flustered. I just couldn't get over how suspicious she was acting.
私楠木優愛って言います。
Kusunoki Yua. Kusunoki Yua. Nobody'd asked her to, but she suddenly started introducing herself anyway.
実はあなたのこと一目見てなんとなく存在が気になって、それでつい。
What, she just instinctively started stalking me? The girl whose name was Yua, apparently, kept lowering her gaze as she talked.
ごめんなさい。
She bowed her head vigorously. There's no way. That was the only thing on my mind. Taking another look at her, this Yua girl was pretty cute. I had to give her that much, at least. But that was exactly why I couldn't trust her. A 3D girl who wanted to interact with me? With good intentions? What kind of eroge was this? My whole life, nobody had ever said anything like that to me. There was no way I could take her confession seriously. It was just way too out of left field. Whoa, man! I think you're a few hours early of thinking this is a confession. What? Did she think I'd be jumping for joy or something? Did she forget she'd been stalking me until just now? Sure, that kind of thing might work in the 2D world, but IRL, it was a certified boner killer. Also, this whole situation was really embarrassing. All I wanted was to get out of here ASAP. Just talking to her made me anxious. 3D really was total dog shit.
僕は3次元に興味はないよ。
え？
いや、め
I always stuttered when I tried to say something harsh, but I had to be clear. Don't follow me anymore. I don't like it.
迷惑だよ。つきまとわないでよ。
すいません。
Sad anime girl eyes. She sure looked disheartened. Maybe she'd actually meant it. No, don't fall for it. You can't trust anything about 3D women. You can only trust 2D. You can trust Seraton far more than this harlot.
もうついてこないでね。僕帰るから。
As I mumbled incoherently, I tried as hard as I could to stand up, but I struggled. My body was still hurting all over the place. My collarbone in particular was being a real bitch. The pain was making me feel kind of dizzy. I might have hit my head when I'd fallen down earlier. I almost fell over again, but Yua caught my hand and stopped me.
怪我してるんですね。手貸します。
I tried really hard not to make eye contact. I could feel my face turning bright red. She'd definitely make fun of me if she noticed, so I turned away and forcefully shook her hand off. My mind was a total blank. I'd hardly, if ever, touched a female before. Except family members, of course. My heart was beating out of my chest.
お家まで送ります。あなたが怪我したのは私がつきまとっちゃったせいですから。だから送らせてください。
I felt really happy when Yua asked me that. I wasn't really used to being treated kindly by others. Every other 3D woman I had interacted with before was utterly vile. But this girl, I was actually starting to warm up to her a little bit. But I didn't have the courage to look her straight in the eye. I mean, she had been stalking me. And she also might have been related to the demon girl, and I didn't want to die. All sorts of thoughts flew through my head, but I couldn't focus on any single one of them. My mind was a total blur.
お家どこですか？
深セン。
深セン？
I nodded before instantly regretting it. Why the hell had I told her that? Was I expecting something to happen if I did? This had to be one of my delusions. Maybe karma'd put me on a lucky streak, just so it could come to beat me down later. You saw that cliche all the time in anime. This must have been some sort of death flag. Oops. Death flag, a metafiction term. When a character triggers a death flag, they have said or done something that foreshadows their death. A common way to trigger a death flag is to make a promise on the eve of a climactic battle. For example, when this war's over, I'm gonna get married. Oh god, 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 oh god. Before I knew it, Yua was trying her best to prop me up with her shoulders. Her soft body was tightly pressed against mine, and I could smell a sweet scent coming from her long hair. This couldn't be real. There was no way a 3D girl was being this nice to me.
歩けますか？
I nodded in response.
じゃあ行きましょう。
Her voice almost sounded nervous. Then, with my head pointed down at the ground, I slowly started to walk. She'd done so much for me at this point, I couldn't turn her down or shake her off anymore. I was out of options. I just had to let her do as she pleased. Leaning on her delicate shoulder for support, the two of us got moving. Neither of us said a word until we reached the building where my base was located. After all, there was no way I could hold a half-decent conversation with the girl, let alone one I didn't know. I knew that the second I'd bring up anime or video games, she'd automatically go, "Ew, what a freak!" just like every other 3D girl. She wouldn't even bother listening or trying to understand. From my point of view, there was just no point in talking to bitches like that.
ここでもういいから。
That grumble was about all I could muster, and I looked at Yua to make sure she understood it. She gave me a gentle nod in response, then removed her arm from under me. I was still a little unstable, but I managed to stay upright.
やっぱりお部屋までついていきましょうか。
I completely ignored her suggestion and walked toward the lobby. Well, I say lobby, but it was really a narrow entryway to the elevator hall. Still, the moment I lifted my foot to start climbing the small staircase leading up to it, a sharp pain ran through me, and I nearly fell over again.
大丈夫ですか？
Yua rushed over to support me. Damn it, why was she still here?
やっぱり部屋まで送ります。絶対送りますから。
She sounded almost desperate. I hated to admit it, but Yua had been a huge help, and in the end, she had taken me all the way back to my base. To get there, first we had to go all the way up to the 8th floor, then take a steep flight of emergency stairs up to the roof. In my current state, there was no way I could have ever possibly managed that alone. Yua wasn't strong in any sense of the word. She was very clearly running on fumes, and yet she had helped me up the stairs as if her life depended on it. Running on fumes? What does that mean?
こんなところに住んでるんですね。
Yua was left speechless when she saw my container house. No surprise there. Normal people would never believe somebody could live in a container.
なんか憧れます。
え？
アウトローな感じがしていいですよね。こういうのって。
I never thought she'd say something like that. Was she just trying to flatter me or something? You won't fool me, wench. I will never fall for a 3D girl's tricks. With Yua still propping me up, we walked up to the container door, removed the padlock, and stepped inside. Whew, I was finally back. Today was another total catastrophe. This was why you really couldn't beat staying indoors.
真っ暗ですね。電気のスイッチはどこに？
Did she really not have any shame just coming into my room like this? I mean, to be fair, she had brought me all the way here on her shoulder, but I really didn't want her seeing the rest of my room if I could help it. I mean, I had dozens upon dozens of figures lined up on my shelves, piles of eroge boxes on my bed, and trash all over the floor.
もういいから話して。
After I said that, I waited for Yua to let go of me, but she didn't budge.
すごく散らかってじゃなくて歩きにくいと思うんですけど絶対危ないですソファーまで行きましょうそこで話しますから
In the end, I just kept on doing whatever she said. The couch was covered in CDs and magazines, but Yua quickly cleared them out of the way, as soon as she could while still holding me up anyway. As soon as she was finished, I sat right down. Man, she's just so sweet and caring. Wait, what am I saying? I'm not gonna fall for it. I'm not.
平気ですか
The two of us were all alone in the room. It was almost pitch black, save for the tiny bit of moonlight shining through the open doorway. As a result, I couldn't tell what sort of expression Yua had on her face. On the bright side, though, hearing a girl breathing in the dark was pretty hot. Come to think of it, it was the first time anyone aside from my little sister had ever seen my room, which meant it was the first time I'd had an actual girl up there. Take that, Naname! If this were a game, I would have tripped some sort of flag, and soon enough the mood would turn romantic, and before we knew it, we'd be all over each other. That said, I wasn't expecting anything like that. Reality was complete and utter shit. It was nothing like the 2D world. And besides, this Yua girl wasn't normal. She was a stalker. So, yeah. Wait, why was she still here? How long was she planning on staying? Her job was done, so shouldn't she be leaving now? That was when it hit me. Wait, no. Was her plan to get me alone in an isolated spot to do something horrible to me?
明かりのスイッチは
パソコンの
パソコン
The only light source in the room was the desk lamp by my PC. I wanted to tell her to turn that lamp on, but I just couldn't get the words out.
そうかあのデスクライトですね
Yua carefully made her way over to my computer desk, avoiding all the garbage by her feet, then turned on the lamp. And then there was light. The darkness had put all sorts of embarrassing ideas and delusions in my head, and now that I could see Yua's face clearly, all those fantasies made it hard to look her in the eye without getting even more embarrassed than I already was. Panicked, I couldn't get any words out, so I just kept my head down. She chatted so suddenly that goosebumps shot across my skin. Her gaze was pointed straight at the Seraton figure next to my monitor, who was striking her favorite sexy pose.
これってプラチューのセイラちゃんですよね
知ってるの
はいプラチューは大好きで毎週見てます
へえ
セイラちゃんがお好きなんですね私もヒロインの中では彼女が一番好きなんですよ衣装も可愛いですし
Her voice was full of joy. She was clearly speaking genuinely. There was no way she was just trying to trick me. Who'd have thought? Could Yua be a...
不女子
Fujoshi, a term for a female otaku with a particular interest in yaoi, or works of fiction that depict homosexual relationships between men. It does not apply to female otaku as a whole. Well, maybe she just liked anime.
あれフィギュアって言うんですよねちょっと見せてもらってもいいですか すみません、ずうずうしいこと言っちゃって。もう帰った方がいいですよね。
She bowed repeatedly, clearly flustered.
見ていいよ。
Well, I couldn't say I didn't enjoy her laying the praise on my waifu, so I might as well be a little nice to her.
本当ですか？ありがとうございます。
Yua took Seira in her hand and started inspecting her closely.
それは山陽堂版の覚醒前バージョンなんだ。セーラフィギュアはいくつか種類が出てるけど、最初に出たやつ。
へえ。
あまりクオリティは高くないよ。顔とか微妙に崩れてるし、ポーズも平凡すぎてあんまりエロくないし。でも服の胸元部分をキャストオフできるのは今のところそれだけなんだ。
Cast off. A specification that allows for nudity, or semi-nudity, in figures by designing certain parts, such as clothing, to be easily removable. The specification had originated in 2006 and has only gotten more and more popular since. And this was released only 2 years after. Dang.
胸元？
ちなみに僕はセーラフィギュアは4種類全部揃えてるよ。そっちの棚に制服バージョンとメイドバージョン、あと水着バージョンがある。
そんなに種類が。すごいですね。
一番評価が高いのはメイドバージョンなんだけど、個人的には水着バージョンも悪くないよ。
そうなんですか。見てみたいですね。でもちょっと暗くて。
もうすぐアルファから待望の覚醒後バージョンが出るんだけど、これはかなりクオリティ高そうなんだ。キャストオフも胸元だけじゃなくてほぼ全身可能だっていうし、表情もポーズも質感も言うことなしだね。あとはカラーさえバッチリなら今年発売されたフィギュアの中でも MVP 候補だよ。
アルファ？
メーカーだよ、フィギュアの。
ああ、なるほど。
Suddenly realizing what I'd done, I clamped my mouth shut. I've been rambling on for way too long. Me too, buddy. Me too. I'd gone off on a tangent about goddamn anime girl figures. Removable pieces, sexy poses. I bet I looked like a total idiot. To you, I wanted to know what sort of face she was making, but I couldn't bring myself to look at her. Either way, though, it was obvious. She must have thought I was total human trash. I started panicking. My heart was beating out of my chest. I tried to avert my gaze as far away as I could. But that's when she called out to me, and I reflexively turned back to look at her. Her expression. It wasn't actually full of horror and disgust like I'd expected.
さっき言っていた戦闘バージョンとかメイドバージョンも見せてもらっていいですか？
うん。そっちの棚に。
I was totally baffled. There wasn't a hint of anything on her face other than a wide, bright smile.
わあ、すごいですね。こんなにたくさん。
In fact, her eyes were sparkling as she looked at my shelves full of figures. No way. Were there actually 3D women that weren't disgusted by this stuff? It must have been a 1 in a billion chance, but I suppose there were billions of people in the world.
メイドセイラちゃんってこれですね。ふむふむ。アニメの印象とはちょっと違うけど、すごく可愛いです。下着までちゃんと作り込んであるんだ。こういうの実物で見たのは初めてですけど、いいですね。私も買ってみようかな。
だったら覚醒後バージョンを予約した方がいいよ。あれは絶対おすすめだから。
そうですね。あなたの話を聞いていたら、
Oops, screen
その
saver.
覚醒後バージョンは本気で欲しくなりました。覚醒後って12話のあのシーンのことですよね。
よく知ってますな、お主。かなりのマニアですな。
はい、好きですから。 特にあの時の覚醒シーンは毎日録画したものを見返してます。
あのシーンって演出と作画宮地なんだ。だからクオリティ高くて当然。
Trying to remember what the term is for scenes of high budget animation. It's like Senkai, I think?
宮地？
そういう神クリエイターがいるんだ。あの人の演出はマジで神だよ。アットちゃんの実況版でも神来たってなるし。
そうなんですか。すごく知識が豊富なんですね。私、スタッフが誰かなんてまるで気にしてませんでした。
監督と演出と脚本はチェックしとくといいよ。特に新作なんかはそれを調べるだけで内容の良し悪しが大体予測できるし。
わかりました。今度からそうしてみますね。
As Yua said that, she turned to face me with another lovely smile. I made a girl smile. I never thought I'd see this kind of eroge stuff happen IRL, let alone to me. Usually 3D women, including my little sister, only ever smiled when they were making fun of me. There had to be some kind of catch. There was just no other explanation. I couldn't forget what Seraton had told me. Till then, you can't trust anyone. Don't listen to anything that anyone says.
こんなこと聞いていいかどうかわからないんですけど。
何？
Yua got all shy out of nowhere. She was looking down and avoiding eye contact.
聞かせてもらってもいいでしょうか。あなたのお名前。
Music.
名前？
Now that she'd mentioned it, Yua had introduced herself to me, but I'd never returned the favor.
西条匠。
I was a little embarrassed, so I ended up weakly mumbling it out.
西条匠くんですね。何年生？
2年。
私は3年。私の方が年上さんですね。
Oh. Here's another delusion. I believe this one is neutral? Let me check. Yeah, neutral. Oh man. I was getting dizzy from how moe that sounded. Could Yua be the kind older sister type? Damn it, tried to seduce me and shit. This woman was dangerous. She must be up to something.
それで西条くんにお願いがあるんです。
A request? Seriously? Was she going to ask for one of my Seraton figurines? So that she can fuck right off. She had the gall to ask me to part with one of my waifus? Ridiculous. Total insanity. There was nothing anyone could say, and there was no price anyone could pay to make me give up one of my Seraton figurines. It wasn't fucking happening. If you want one so bad, go buy one yourself. While I was yelling at her in my head, Yua suddenly had a huge fall, landing flat on her rear. She rubbed her butt while on the verge of tears.
すみません。CD を踏んづけちゃったみたいです。ケース割れたかも。本当にごめんなさい。私、きちんと片付けますから。
いいよ。
Just get out of here already. You've done enough. And what the hell was that request you mentioned earlier? Yua started cleaning up the trash and CD cases lying all over the floor, even though I'd told her she didn't have to. She looked so apologetic, it almost made me feel guilty. Like I had done something wrong.
じゃあ、足の踏み場だけでも、確保させてください。 すいません。その後でお願い言いますから。
Sorry if I had a little burp. But the way she just instantly started cleaning up and thoroughly at that, she reminded me somewhat of my mom. Not caring in the slightest about what may cause problems for other people, rushing straight into doing whatever she pleased. You know, the typical meddler. In that case, I should probably start helping her, shouldn't I? We'd both reach for a piece of trash at the same time, our hands would touch, and we both say, "Oh!" Then we'd stare into each other's eyes, just soaking in the glow of the moment. Right? Wrong. The fuck do you think this is? Some kind of rom-com? No way in hell was I helping her. While in the middle of piling up magazines, Yua suddenly stopped. Her back was turned, so I couldn't tell what she'd just picked up.
いえ、気にしないでください。
What was she getting so nervous about? Something about it made me suspicious. Come to think of it, she was essentially ransacking my room at this point. What if she was trying to steal something? Maybe she was thinking I had so many figures I wouldn't notice if one went missing? But little did she know, she was dead wrong. I'd perfectly memorized every single waifu on that shelf. If even a single one meant missing, I'd be able to tell in a nanosecond.
フィギュアには触らないでね。
はい。いえ、違うんです。その村中の同人誌っていうんですか？それが落ちてまして、ちょっと中身を見てみたら。
My blood-tuned dojins? Shit. They're all porn.
すごかったのでびっくりしました。
勝手に見ないでよ。
すいません。
Yua began tidying up again, nervous as ever. Shortly after, she quickly cleared a space to sit down, and then turned toward me.
それでさっき言ったお願いですけど。
Finally! I gulped, then instinctively braced myself for impact.
さっき言ったフィギュアの予約一緒に行ってもらえませんか？私そういうアニメショップみたいなところって今まで行ったことなくて。で、私なんだかすごくぶしつけなお願いしてますよね。すいません。私のせいで西条くんが怪我をしたのに。
This is some dangerous territory. I couldn't afford to just blurt out an answer. On one hand, you and I had shared interests. Hell, she was even a fan of Seira. She also seemed very interested in what I had to say, which meant she was someone I could get along with as an otaku. But on the other, it had to be some sort of trap. There was just no way in hell something like this, something so perfect, would actually happen to me in real life. It was an eroge cliche, nothing more. I couldn't let 3D corrupt me. Think, Takumi, think. What the hell could Yua's true goal be?
すいません。今のお願いは忘れてください。私、西条くんがいろいろ話してくれるのが、嬉しくて。
Yua sat there with her head hung low. Pretty much every 3D girl ever was insanely full of themselves. And meanwhile, this girl was remarkably timid. And there was just no way a 3D girl could be so pretty and have such a cute personality. Everyone knew that, meaning she had to be faking it. I'd turn her down. I'd gather all my strength, all the power vested in me as a man, and shoot her down. As Yua looked back up at me, I saw tears welling up behind her glasses. Wait, was she crying? Was it because I wasn't saying anything? Had I just made her cry? Oh no. Give me a break. What a life or death situation. I never experienced anything like this outside of video games. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I was even starting to feel a little guilty. They say that women weaponize their tears, but only now was that really starting to ring true for me. Honestly, I had no clue how to deal with it. I was getting more and more nervous by the second. We can go together, I tried to say, but ultimately, I couldn't bring myself to. Because if I did, surely she'd just say something like, "Ew, this dumbass actually took it seriously? What a freak!" Sorry for my terrible girl voice. I don't think you could expect any more from a guy who sounds like me. Call it a persecution complex, but that was just how I felt. I just couldn't do it.
無理してくれなくていいです。私のわがままに石城君を付き合わせるのは良くないですし。
Her eyes seemed even more wet than before. I saw a single tear dripping out from the corner of her eye.
行くよ。
Music stopped.
言ってもらえるんですか？
Oh, there is some now. I had no choice but to nod. I couldn't think of any other way to make her stop crying. Still, it felt like I was stepping right into a trap. Yura seemed incredibly relieved. She took a deep breath, took off her glasses, and wiped away her tears.
断られて当然だと思ってたのに。石城君、ありがとうございます。
Huh, she was thanking me. Seemed like I'd been able to stop her from completely breaking down. Maybe I should be the one thanking her. Shit, how'd I get myself into such a mess? Goddamn 3D women, you can never let your guard around them. You can never let your guard down around them.
行くとしたらいつがいいでしょう。
Hold on, where the hell had her sad, odd-looking expression gone? Only a second had passed and she was already looking happy as a clam. Those really were crocodile tears, weren't they? So she should win a fucking Academy Award.
セイラちゃんの新しいフィギュアはもうすぐ発売なんですよね。
うん。きっとすぐに完売しちゃうだろうね。
だったら早めに行った方が良さそうですね。明日とか。
According to my schedule, I needed to go to school tomorrow. I made it 3 times total this week. Then the week after, I'd only have to go twice. I had a feeling that tomorrow was going to suck even more than usual. But I'd already told you I'd go with her. If I tried changing my mind now, she'd start the waterworks all over again. I really have no choice here, huh?
わかったよ。
I was incredibly reluctant, but still, I agreed. Yua seemed happy to hear that. But she couldn't fool me with that face of hers.
西条くんは何組？明日放課後に迎えに行きますよ。
B 組。
2年 B 組ですね。じゃあ授業が終わったら待っててください。
I nodded quickly in response, hoping that'd make her leave faster. Wait, I just made a promise to hang out with a girl? Was this a dream? A delusion? I pinched my cheek to test that theory. It definitely hurt.
それじゃあ長い間お邪魔しちゃってすいませんでした。足もし痛かったらお医者さんに行ってくださいね。
あ、うん。
I sat down on the couch and watched Yua leave. She turned around and waved goodbye, then exited out the front door. It's okay, Takumi. I don't completely trust her either.
西条くんまた明日。
また明日だってさ。しかも手を振ったりして。
I felt like I was about to melt with bliss, so I quickly stiffened back up.
絶対僕に惚れてる。間違いないね。まあ付き合うか付き合わないかは僕に選択肢があるわけだし、あの女を情け容赦なく振ってやるさ。お前は僕の女にふさわしくない。セイラよりいい女になって出直してこい。まあ一生無理だけどな。何しろセイラは永遠の17歳だからな。みたいな。
Ever 17, you could say. There was no way any girl could ever be better than Seira-tan. I picked up the Seira figure and rubbed her against my cheek, and Seira-tan couldn't have looked happier. Just look at her. Look at that winning smile.
Oh, 時間か。今のところテストに出るからな。ちゃんとノート書いておけよ。今日はここまで。
Alright. I think that's a good place to stop for now. Yeah, this is probably going to be longer than my first two episodes, but, yeah, I was invested and, there was a lot to see there. Of course I wasn't going to stop. So, yeah. It should be interesting to see what happens next time here with Yua. Is she really a friend? Why was she following Takumi? What's her angle? If she even has one. Or is she just a pure moe blob? We'll find out next time.